Hi, in this video we're going to be learning about completing the square. Say we are given x squared plus 2x, right? And we want to complete the square for this problem here. So the first thing you're going to do here aside, we're going to write 1 over 2 multiplied by b all squared. And our b in this case, b is equal to 2, which is this coefficient of x, right? How do we know that? We know the standard form of an equation of a parabola. It's ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So our b, as I indicated, is 2. Then you're going to put it inside, so it's 1 over 2 times the b, which is 2, all squared. And then this 2 will divide out with this 2. Then you remain with 1 all to the power of 2. So you're going to add and subtract that 1 here, right? So you're going to have x squared plus 2x, and then you add and subtract. So you add your 1 all squared and you subtract it again. And then from here, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to separate this portion of the graph. Separate it like this with your brackets, right? And deal with what's inside the brackets independently and deal with what's outside the bracket independently. So what's inside the bracket, we're just going to factorize it. So we will have the factors of x squared is x, right? And the factors of this, okay, before I even factorize, let me just write it properly without this 1 to the power of 2. So we're going to have x squared plus 2x plus 1, right? And then it's inside the bracket minus 1 like this. Then let's factorize this. So it's going to be x, which is the factors of x squared, and then plus 1, because the factors of 1 is actually 1. And if you add 1 2 times, you're going to get these 2. So it's going to be 1 to the power of 2 minus 1. So this is the solution for this problem here, and we are done completing its square. So now let's try out a more interesting problem. Say we're having x squared minus 8x plus 3, right? And the first step of completing the square, we say 1 over 2 multiplied by b all squared, right? Our b in this case is minus 8, which is this one here. And we put 1 over 2 times minus 8 to the power of 2. And then if you say 1 over 2 multiplied by negative 8 in your calculator, you're going to get minus 4. Sorry, let me write it properly. So you're going to get minus 4 all squared like this, right? And then from here, what you're going to do is you're going to add and subtract this minus 4 all squared. So you're having your x squared minus 8x, and then you add and subtract. So you add your minus 4 all squared minus 4 all squared, and then you add your 3 there, right? And then you're going to separate portions of this equation here. So how do you know you have to separate here and not separate here? Simple. So what you added, that's where you end, right? You added this minus 4 all squared. Where you ended that minus 4 all squared, that's where you're going to start separating your equations, right? Or your variables rather. So now let me first write everything properly. So you're going to have x squared minus 8x, and then minus 4 all squared is going to give you plus 16, right? And then I maintain my brackets there. And then from here, you're going to have minus 16 plus 3, right? So from here, you're going to factorize what's inside the brackets. How do you factorize it? The factors of x squared is x. The factors of 16 such that they give you the middle term is 4. So you look at the sign of the middle term, it's negative. So you're going to say negative 4, and then you say all squared like this, right? And then you find the addition of this. So it's minus 16 plus 3. So you're going to get minus 13. So this is the solution of this problem here. Let's do another problem, or another example rather, which is quite more interesting. So these problems are different, but if you feel like you now understand how to solve or how to complete the square, try out this problem. Pause the video and try out this problem here, and then see if you're going to get the same solution as mine. Let's continue. So you're going to say 1 over 2 multiplied by b all squared. Our b in this case is 4, right? But before, what I've noticed is with these type of problems where you are having a negative here, I'd like you to use a different approach, which is always reliable. So let me remove this portion here. I'd like you to first, because this x squared has a negative, right? The coefficient of x squared is negative 1. Whenever the coefficient of x squared has a number that can affect the equation, please remove that number. For an example, in the previous example, we had x squared minus 8x plus 3, right? This one here doesn't really affect the equation, so we didn't have to remove it. But because this negative one, it does make an impact. So let's remove this negative one first. We're going to add it towards the end of the problem. Please remember that you removed it. It's really important. So we're going to remove negative 1. That's why I'm using a different color here. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1, and divide by negative 1, right? And then you will have x squared minus 4x plus 1, right? Remember, you removed negative 1. Don't forget that towards the end. So now your b is going to be different. At first it was positive 4, so now it's negative 4. So yeah, it's different. So you're going to say 1 over 2 multiplied by b all squared. Our b is equals to minus 4. So it's 1 over 2 multiplied by minus 4 all squared. And minus 4 divided by 2 is minus 2 all squared, like this. And then you're going to add and subtract that. So you have x squared minus 4x. And then you plus your minus 2 all squared. You subtract it again. Minus 2 all squared, and then you add your 1 like this, right? And then from here you're going to separate. I said where you ended, so where you added rather, because we added this here, that's when you're going to start putting your bracket, and also here. So let's write down everything properly that's inside the bracket. So you have x squared minus 4x, so minus 2 all squared gives us 4, so right, plus 4, right? And then let's put it inside the bracket, and then we have minus 4 plus 1 like this. So having a problem like this, so let's factorize what's inside the bracket. Factors of x squared is x, and then the factors of 4 such that they give us the middle term is 2, and the middle term is a negative, so you can simply say minus 2 and then say all squared. And then add this, minus 4 plus 1 is going to give you minus 3. So that's how we find the solution for this. Oops, before I even say I'm finished. Remember I said we used negative 1, right, to divide the problem, right? At first, if you remember, I'm just going to go up. Remember we divided with this negative 1. We divided with this negative 1. So we need to put it back. We need to put this negative 1 back. And by so doing, we're going to multiply. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply this negative 1 in this problem here, right? So we're going to say negative 1 multiply by what's inside. So it's x minus 2 all squared minus 3, like this. So this negative 1 is going to multiply everything that is inside the bracket. It's going to multiply this bracket, and it's going to multiply this minus 3 here. So what you'll have is, you'll have minus into x minus 2 all squared plus 3. So now you are done completing the square for this problem here. Now let's try out a more interesting problem which is different from this one. So having 1 over 2 x squared minus 4x plus 2. Please try this problem if you can. Pause the video and try it out and see if you're going to get the same solution. So the first step that we're going to do here, remember I said if x squared has a coefficient that can affect the equation, remove that coefficient, and by removing it you are going to divide it out. The only coefficient that cannot affect the x squared or the entire equation is when you have a positive 1. Then you don't have to divide by anything. But if it's going to be negative 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or even a fraction like this, half, it's going to affect your equation. So please remember this step. Since this half really does affect the equation, let's divide it out for now so that we simplify the problem, and then we're going to multiply it towards the end of this problem here. So divide by 1 over 2, divide by 1 over 2, divide by 1 over 2, right? So now our problem is going to be simpler. We will have x squared, right? So if you can see, minus 4 divided by 1 over 2 is going to give you minus 8x, right? And then 2 divided by 1 over 2 is going to give you plus 4 like this, right? So now we can complete the square, but bear in mind that we divided by 1 over 2. So you need to multiply that later on. So the first step that we're going to do here is we're going to say 1 over 2 multiplied by b. So this is just the general form. It's not this 1 over 2. Please take note. It's not this one. 1 over 2 multiplied by b. Our b in this case is equals to minus 8, right? So it's 1 over 2 multiplied by minus 8 all squared, which minus 8 divided by 2, or you can say half multiplied by minus 8 is going to give you minus 4. It's going to be minus 4 all squared. So you're going to add and subtract this thing here, right? You add and subtract. You don't subtract and add. You add and subtract. Please. So you have x squared minus 8x, and then you add the minus 4 all squared, and then you subtract the minus 4 all squared, and then you put in your original 4. And then what you do here is you separate a portion of this equation, separate it. Then from there, let me just write everything properly. So you have x squared minus 8x, and then minus 4 all squared is going to give you plus 16, right? And then you put everything inside the bracket, and then here it's minus 16 plus 4, right? So now we're going to deal with what's inside the bracket and separately, and then we're going to deal with what's outside the bracket separately. Let's factorize what's inside the bracket. So the factors of x squared is x. The factors of 16 such that they give us the middle term is 4. And then we take the sign, which is negative, so it's going to be negative 4, right? And then you put in the bracket, and then we put the square there. Then this minus 16 plus 4, punch it in your calculator, you're going to get minus 12. And then from here, we are not done. Remember, we divided by 1 over 2. So now we need to multiply by that 1 over 2. Put it back, right? So it's going to be 1 over 2 multiplied by x minus 4 all squared minus 12. So this this 1 over 2 is going to multiply this bracket here. And it's also going to multiply this minus 12. Then you'll have 1 over 2 x minus 4 all squared, and then minus 12 times 1 over 2 is going to give you minus 6. So this is the final solution for this problem here. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to try out these problems on your own, and you let me know the solutions of these problems. So the first problem is minus 3x squared minus 2x minus 1. The second one is 2x squared plus 5x minus 1. The third one is minus 1 over 3x squared plus x minus 2. So please try out these problems on your own. Let me know in the comments if you are getting stuck somewhere or you're getting it right, and what is the solution, and we'll take it from there if I have to create another video to explain these problems here. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, please write them down in the comment section below. Otherwise, please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to click that bell button.